This is a Celebration 125 podcast.
Cameron family goes back many, many years. Before we talk about your perspective, Pat, on the 1948 flood, which is a very popular historical story in this area of the District of Kent, but could you tell us about your parents? Is Bill and Thelma, correct?
Yes, that's correct. My grandfather was Robert Gentle Cameron, and he married a Jean Simpson, and they came to Agassiz in 1917. And they came by barge from Chilliwack, and they purchased 100 acres on the corner of what is now Cameron Road and McCallum Road. And at that time, Cameron Road was just a rail spur line to haul gravel from Agassiz Mountain to maintain the tracks. And a group of local farmers built a gravel road to haul their milk down to Ellerslie Crossing, which I'm not too familiar with, but later grandfather became a counselor and was able to get the road completed and was also one of the founding members of the Fraser Valley Milk Producers. And his name is on the original charter. Yeah, and they had 6 children. The oldest, James, my father, who is William, and Duncan, Robert, and Jean, and Colin. My father, was Bill Cameron. Yeah. And my dad married Thelma Hubbard, who was he married her in 1928, and my mom was from a large family in Agassiz, the Hubbards, and they lived down which we called Chinatown part, and they lived next to a very large family of the Fongs family. Mom actually came from 15 girls, and there was 2 of her sisters were from another marriage, which was later. Yeah. They raised, actually, Mom and Dad raised 14 kids, and there were 7 boys and 7 girls, and I guess I'm the 8th of the 14. Mm-hmm. I come in there about 8. Yeah.
That's quite 13 siblings. That's quite a lot to keep hold of, eh?
Exactly. Well, actually, they were born a year apart. I figured out that we were pretty well all just about a year apart. So there was a lot of fun, sibling rivalry, and you name it, we did it.
After number 14, your mom must have said, "I need a rest."
Yeah, I think she did. But she didn't really have time to think about that.
No.
Because we were always busy. Mom seemed to always be busy with the last, with the baby. And we learned to do the chores, and we had we all had our chores to do, and and we got them done. If we didn't, we wouldn't have too much on the table for dinner. But so everybody had to chip in. But actually, Mom and Dad started living on the property. It was a house up on the hill, and it was located, actually, the Limbert family was on one side of us, and the old cemetery was on the other side. And it was just a house that had, I think it was just one great big bedroom, and then like a big open living room kitchen that I can recall. I would have only been about 4 or 5 years old when, the things that I actually remember. We had a lot of fun up on the hill, but in 1943, Dad and Mom bought the old McGinnis's, Joe McGinnis's farm, which was down in the valley across from the old cemetery. And that was and actually we lived there till, well, actually, Mom and Dad were there until 1967, and then they moved into town. But my dad was the foreman of the Department of Highways for about approximately 30 years. And but we also had milking cows, so we shipped milk, and everybody learned to, milk a cow, I'll tell you. And we had cows, we had turkeys, we had pigs, we had we had a bit of everything. But the sad thing was that our brothers, who were pretty mischievous at the time, they would teach our turkey gobbler to fight. So we always had we had an outhouse. We never had indoor plumbing. I think we had maybe running water in the kitchen, but we never had a bathroom that I recall. And so if you went out to the outhouse, you might get stuck there for a long time, because if the turkey gobbler saw you, he would come, and I'm telling you, you couldn't get out. You could scream, and if somebody heard you, fine. But otherwise, I missed the school bus many times account of the turkey gobbler, because I couldn't get out until he decided to walk away. So, and we had to take the milk from the barn in buckets to the dairy, which was closer to the house. And so, of course, the gobbler, he'd come along, and my brothers, they even, I think there was a lot of milk spilled. And so because they'd be swinging the bucket at the turkey gobbler as he was flying, trying to jump at them. Yeah, so that was always fun. And, we did with our haying in the summer. We'd have to help with the haying. Us girls would always love to, and our little brothers, we'd ride on the hay wagon coming back to the barn, and the older brothers, of course, are still picking up, hay with the forks and throwing it up on the haystack, and of course, many times they would throw a snake up, and us girls would just be screaming and tearing on, sliding down the other side of the wagon. No, we had a lot of fun that way, and we made our own fun, actually, and of course, in the winter, we had the sleigh riding down the cemetery hill, and you could watch our brothers or whoever it was, if you weren't up there from the kitchen window, you could see them coming down right from the top of the old Agassiz Mountain, or the cemetery, and we'd be weaving down around the tombstones, and then we'd end up just flying right through our neighbors, who was the Hawklocks across the road. We'd just fly right under their fence and into their field. So, it was great. It was great. All the neighbor kids, they would come and catch the school bus at our milk stand. And that was, I guess, because we had the most, the more kids, I don't know. But that was great. And, many times, like I say, I'd be out milking cows in my I still had my pajamas on, and the neighbor boy happened to one morning poke his head in, Clifford Anderson, and when I finally got to school, my teacher right away had said, "Oh, Pat, hi. Nice to see you. I understand that you milk cows in your pajamas." And, oh my God, I was so embarrassed. I just didn't. But anyways, that's the way it was. And actually, we also did that because it was so darn cold. It might have been almost, in the winter. So we kept all the clothes on we could. But, we, in that house, there was a bedroom for Mom and Dad, a bedroom for the girls, and a bedroom for the boys. So we, at first, before Dad eventually added on, we slept 6 in a bed, and 3 down, 3 up one end, 3 in the other, and my sister Faye, the oldest of the girls, she was kind of, well, I guess you'd say she was bossy at the time, but she didn't have much choice because she had quite a role to play with, in our family with trying to help raise the kids. So she would say, "Now, you put your feet there, you lie there, and don't move." Well, if we moved and we got giggling or something, Faye would push us out of bed, and many times we'd end up sleeping on the floor. She'd throw us a blanket, maybe, and maybe not. And then sometimes we'd just beg her, "Faye, please, could you let us back in?" And she'd let us back in sometime.